Hi, friends.
Hi, friends.
We're back. It's episode 120 of the Brunch and Judge. Doing my dance.
Doing your dance.
It's like, doo, 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 doo. You know, there are some things in life in which I'm like, I am 40. It's fine. I have entered the 40s. I'm old now, and I can tell when I dance and I'm like, I am absolutely the person I used to make fun of. So it's fine.
Right. It's like, I think they've always made fun of me. So.
I mean, dance has never been my strongest skill set. Let's be real.
No.
Anyway,
I mean, I can keep a beat.
I can bob.
Yeah, I can keep a beat. That's about it.
Anyway, we are your hosts. I'm April.
And I'm Claire.
And neither of us can dance super well, but that's okay.
Right.
Actually, that's not true. Claire won like a dance off.
Shut up. Stop
you
it.
You did.
Stop it.
Claire, you did. Claire beat a whole boat full of people, like on a cruise. Like the whole fucking 2,000-3,000 people. Claire won. So Claire is in fact a very talented, successful dancer.
I don't know if you say successful, but
I mean,
oh shit.
I will always remember, and I'm sure that guy from Florida will always remember that he lost to Claire.
That's right. On that cruise.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that happened.
Well, you know what? I bet I do. I bet it's because of the topic of our podcast today, which is Satanic Panic. Claire, you were possessed with the spirit. Not sure which one, but you were possessed.
That spirit. All the spirit. That's probably true. Oh my gosh.
So this week, Claire goes first. Claire, what magical story of Satanic Panic have you brought to us this week?
I'm going to be talking about the book Michelle Remembers.
Ooh, the book that started it all.
And that's, yes, it is the book that basically started the whole Satanic Panic in the 1980s and 90s.
So. I'm here for it. For it.
My sources are Wikipedia, Independent, CBC, which is Canadian because the book is Canadian, and New York Times. So anyway, so Michelle Remembers was a book written in 1980 by Dr. Lawrence Pazder. He is a Canadian psychiatrist, and it's about his patient, Michelle Smith.
I'm going to be honest before we get into this. There is a part of me that is stupidly happy that it was a Canadian who did this instead. I mean, as you know on this show, if you've listened to more than one episode anyway, the government sucks, the United States sucks.
Yes.
Not at all things, but at an awful lot of things. So it's nice that we didn't actually start this one thing. True. We took it. We did the hold my beer, took it to another level, but
we did. We did do the hold my beer.
Canada.
Yeah. So it was during the early 70s that Pazder began treating Michelle at his private practice in Victoria, British Columbia.
Beautiful place. Everybody should go there. Okay.
Everybody should go.
It's beautiful.
In 1976, Michelle was being treated for depression for pregnancy loss. So she was married, she's pregnant, she lost it. And during this one session, she told Dr. Pazder that she had something that she wanted to confide in him, but she couldn't remember what it was. And I'm just like,
okay,
that's weird.
That's a strange statement to make.
I know, right?
I mean,
if I did that, I do that all the time where I'm like, I was going to say something, but I can't remember.
Right.
But not in that context.
I was going to confide something in you, but I can't remember is like,
right.
Okay. Odd. Yeah. It's just odd.
It is. Yeah.
Not that it's not real or whatever, just odd.
I know. I was like, what? So in a session not long after that one, uh, she had a screaming fit that lasted for 25 minutes. And then she started speaking in a child's voice, like she'd reverted to when she was like a 5-year old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so after that little episode, Dr. Pazder decided that he wanted to use hypnosis to help Michelle recover all her missing memories.
You know, maybe it's just that it's 2024 now, but like maybe don't.
But that has since
Mm,
been like a
mhm.
thing that's like, it's not a thing.
Like if you
You
don't
can't
remember, there might
use,
be a good reason. It's probably
yeah, you
better.
can't use hypnosis to recover
Mhm.
forgotten memories. It's not a legit thing now. It has since been
Right.
debunked. I don't even know if that's the word, but anyway, it's like you can't use that now as like a legit form of therapy
Right.
or to say that something happened. Um, so over the next 14 months,
No, it's a long
yeah,
time.
yeah, they spent over 600 hours
No.
trying to recover Michelle's forgotten memories.
Oh my god.
Right,
I mean,
right.
like I know where this is going, but still, like, oh my god.
But there's some of this that you, because you just said you knew the basics of
Yeah,
it. So I'm just like,
super
there's so
basics.
much in here that I'm just like waiting to say to you because I know how you feel about things.
Oh
And
my
I'm like,
god.
I can't wait to get to these parts because
Okay.
I was gonna be like, what the fuck?
Okay, right. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay.
I know. So these hours recount the alleged nightmare that Michelle endured that began at the age of 5. And she basically claims that her mother gave her away to a satanic cult and where she was held. I think she's 5 when this
Right,
happened.
right.
She's held there for 14 months as a
No one
5-year
and no
old.
one noticed. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
5 years, like 6 years old. Where she was like during that time claimed that she was sexually abused and that she witnessed ritual murders and mutilations, mostly involving babies. She said she was tortured and she saw animal sacrifices and that she saw rituals using fetuses. So this is like
How
as a 5-year old,
how could
five,
a
6-year old.
5 No. A
I mean, she's
5-year-old
an
doesn't even.
adult saying this
Well,
now,
I
but
know, but like she still has to be at a 5-year-old level able to understand what enough of what's happening to put her new language into it as an adult. But like
right.
whatever. Okay, keep going. Keep going.
So after it seemed that Michelle had recovered most of her memories, um, it was because they're both Catholic.
Well.
So they consulted a lot of priests and higher ups in the Catholic Church. And at
Yeah.
one point they
Because they're
traveled.
super reliable.
Right. And at one point they did travel to the Vatican and like consulted with the Pope.
No. Okay. I'm
Right.
sorry. What? Why?
Yes.
The Pope was like, oh, you have this person who, after 600 hours of hypnosis, has this bizarre story that fits perfectly within our insane framework of scaring the shit out of people to join our religion. But all right. Lord. Wait, so like this was like John Paul, right? That would have been who was the Pope, probably. Ish, maybe. Or whoever was before him. He was Pope forever. I don't know.
He was Pope forever. Yeah, so this was like late 70s because the book came out in 80.
Okay.
So
okay. All right.
this would have
I'm
been
still
like,
here
yeah.
for this.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Michelle Remembers was published in 1980. And then Michelle and Dr. Pazder toured, did a book tour, and they did lots of TV interviews talking about the book. And, and so the book became kind of ground zero for the hysteria that followed kind of worldwide.
Right.
It was kind of ground zero for like the worldwide sensation of Satanic Panic. And stories began surfacing everywhere of people recovering memories of abuse that resembled similar stuff to what Michelle had endured, stories of abductions, sacrifices, sexual abuse, and using this stuff called baby wax that was made, made for murdering infants.
I'm sorry. There's the
I'm not
they're
kidding.
saying that there is a product called baby wax that is made from murdered infants.
I mean, it's obviously not sold on shelves.
I mean, like, right. But... I can't go to the local Walmart and buy myself some dead baby wax, but like,
no.
I just want to make sure I'm correct. So
yes,
you're
saying made for murdering infants.
So here's my question: how do you know that your baby wax is murdered infant baby wax and not just generically dyed dead baby wax?
I don't know.
I'm just asking. And also,
I have no idea.
What are they? Maybe I just don't understand.
I don't know what they're using it for.
Well, I'm also like, what is it actually made out of?
Yeah, right. I don't know.
I don't know. If you put a dead baby, this is so like 80s, 90s humor is in the dead baby jokes. Do you remember?
Yes.
All the dead baby jokes.
I do. I do recall dead baby jokes.
But like, do you just like, how do you make wax out of a dead baby?
I don't know.
Oh God. Okay.
But did you ever watch, did Dad ever make you watch in the class that you had with him, the young Sherlock Holmes?
I have seen young Sherlock Holmes, but I don't know that he made us watch it.
But I don't know why, but my brain goes back to when they find that ritual and it's all like Egyptian ritual, but they're like sacrificing those women and they're like dumping all that wax on them. Like this is like the first thing that like pops in my head. It's like they're wrapping them up like mummies and then like dumping all the wax of them in the sarcophagus. I'm just like, I don't know why, but when the whole baby wax and then the rituals, like that's what popped in my brain.
Okay.
Even though that wasn't really Satanist, but still.
Well, I mean, it depends on who you're talking to, Claire. I mean,
I know.
Most evangelicals would say, yes, that is Satanist.
But yeah, anyway. So anyway, one of the biggest, most infamous cases that kind of came about because of all this nonsense,
right,
was the McMartin preschool case in California.
Right.
And allegations of physical abuse, sexual abuse, witchcraft, and supernatural activities. And did either one of us talk about this? I don't think we have.
I know that at one point I did like an overview of Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
But
I don't think we like went into it.
I was
kind of looking at it and I'm like, God, this is bananas. Anyway, ultimately the McMartin charges were eventually dismissed. But Michelle and Dr. Pazder both consulted on that case. They kind of became, they kind of became like the put on this pedestal kind of people for anything involving Satanic Panic. They became consultants.
Like what did her family have to say about any of this?
Oh, I'm getting to that.
Because they've got to be like, the fuck what? No.
Yeah. So, at this time, many of the accusations came against childcare workers and businesses, because it's a time when lots of women were going back into the workforce or were starting work and they were becoming working moms.
It feels like it was society, mostly the patriarchal bullshit pushing back against women not being home with their babies. Look, you're leaving them up for satanic cults to take them. It was just like
childcare was kind of hard to come by at that time. And, some people were leaving their kids with neighbors. I mean, trying to find like a legitimate childcare service to take care of your child, I guess, was
hard. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so it was also at a time, and, and they're also feeling guilty for it too, because everybody talks about that mom guilt. You have to go out and you have to work to make money to take care of the kid, but then you also have to be like, but I'm guilty. I feel guilty because I'm spending time away from my child and leaving them in the care of somebody else, but it's like you have to do it to make the money,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them may have been single moms. I mean, there was all this
Yes,
stuff going on at the
absolutely.
time. And it was also a time when society was kind of confronting the issue of child sexual abuse.
Right.
Like they're like, it's a thing, it happens, because for the longest time it was like, don't talk about it
Right.
ever kind of thing. And so this book kind of gave everybody a villain.
Right.
That was outside of the home.
It's
and
right.
it was
It's Satan's
yeah.
fault.
Well, it's like you're leaving your
Satan.
kids. Yeah, you're leaving your kids with these strangers. And it also kind of led the way for the whole stranger danger, thing, which we know now is not
garbage.
It's not really a thing.
Because that was so
the thing
unlikely
they
that a stranger is going to come get you. It's usually somebody you know.
And so it really kind of led the way for all these things that we know not to be true. Mm-hmm. But it was even used as like a training tool for police officers and law enforcement to like identify satanic rituals.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, I know. You're just kind of like, what is happening right now? I don't even understand.
God. And like, we were children when this was happening because the book came out in 80. So like,
yeah. So it was like we were growing up when like the height of this was, the Satanic Panic. Especially, I definitely remember the whole stranger danger,
Oh, yes.
Like,
well, and I feel like I remember much older anyway, when it made its way to like the Mari level TV shows or whatever. And it's like, why? I was in a satanic cult.
Right. Because I mean, it still did exist in the 90s, obviously. But I feel like it died down.
Mm-hmm.
It did lose its traction. But in 1989, Oprah had Michelle on her show, along with author Lauren Stratford, but that was like a fake name. Her real name was Laurel Rose Wilson. She was the author of the book called Satan's Underground. And it was also a memoir of satanic ritual abuse, which they later found out to be fictitious.
Because it always is. It's never real.
It's always Satan, but not. And Oprah on the show presented both of their stories to be like incontrovertible fact. Like, it is what it is. She never questioned the validity of their stories. And I feel like she also did that. Didn't she do that with that guy who wrote like
the million little pieces or whatever?
And that came out that was not true either. And so it's like, I really feel like if you're going to do that, you really kind of need to do your homework on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
to be fair, publishers were like, yeah, this is real.
Right.
You assume back then, not now, because we all know better.
Right.
But like back then,
especially with the million little pieces guy
going through traditional publishing back in its heyday, that like it would have been more
scrutinized.
Yeah.
I mean,
we know better now, but like at the time, I can understand why people bought it and believed it. Sort of.
So, soon after the publication, obviously the accuracy of the book was quickly questioned.
Mm-hmm.
And Pazder retracted the claim that the Church of Satan was responsible for Michelle's abuse. Because it was founded years after her alleged abuse occurred.
It's like, and it's also been around that long, but all right.
Yeah, because I mean, her stuff would have happened like in the 50s.
Yeah.
And I don't know when the Church of Satan was founded, but
probably not then.
I think it was like 60s or 70s. I don't know. Anyway, it was years. It wasn't even a thing when she was a child. But it was founded years after her alleged abuse in the book. And also church founder Anton LaVey was threatening to sue for libel, as he should.
Good.
Because
you can't blame us for something we didn't do and didn't even exist for. Like, stop it.
Okay, and so this is where it's like, here's the tea in the scandal. In the midst of like all of this, like, all this is going on with the book and all that. Both Pazder and Michelle divorced their respective spouses, and they wound up marrying each other. And I think it was before the book was published.
Oh
so
my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
No.
This is what I was like, I'm going to tell April that she's going to die.
Yes, because like, let's violate everything that is sacred about therapy entirely here.
Oh, because you're going to die. So at one point in one of the articles I read that they talked to Pazder's, and I think because they had done a documentary about it, I think it's called Satan Wants You. Mm-hmm. They talked about it in several of the articles. I think in that documentary they talked to, because he died in 2004. Dr. Pazder did.
Good.
But Pazder's ex-wife and daughter spoke about how Michelle was like a constant presence in their life. Like, even before the book. And that while he was treating her, that he gave Michelle his home phone number. Yeah, the family's home phone number. And that she would call incessantly, and she would hound the family, and she would follow them to events and vacations.
Oh my God. And he let that continue? Like,
yeah.
That is insane. He's a terrible, terrible therapist. Like,
right.
As in, like, should have had his license revoked level. Like, that's just insane.
I'm like reading this and I'm like, oh, April's gonna die when I talk about this.
Oh my God. Because
April's going to die.
Because, like, I get that each therapy thing is different. And, like, you know, maybe there is a time when it's okay to give them more contact options for you. But, like, they're following you to things. That is so many terrifying red flags.
Right. But the wife did say it's like he believed her. Like, I mean, he did believe everything she said. But no, I'm not saying that that's an excuse. But it wasn't like he was doing it as like a money-making scheme or whatever. But it's like she like could tell that he believed her. But still, it was one of those things that was like, this is not okay.
No.
This is not how this goes. No.
I'm
like,
no. Like, you can absolutely believe her. Because I think she believed it too. I mean.
Oh, yeah. And then articles began coming out fairly quickly after the book came out about the validity of the book. And in 1980, there was an article where they had interviewed Michelle's dad, who claimed that he could refute everything.
Yeah.
Like, he had, you know, proof of like where she was during those times, that kind of thing. I mean, her mom had died in 1964. And the article also mentioned or noted that the book never mentioned she had two sisters. And so, like, and her sisters both were like,
this never happened.
Didn't happen. Yeah, they both were like, what is going on? You know, and it was almost one of those things where it was like her mother was buried at a church. You know, it was like she was kind of very devout. Like, it was one of those things where it was like, where is this coming from? So everybody in her family was very shocked by all the stuff she was saying. And they were, you know, like, this didn't happen. This is not, no. They all were just like, no, not real. And the book also noted that it never mentioned the divorces, their divorces, or that the fact that either of them remarried each other and that they were both Catholic. And that's like, no,
you're not allowed to do that.
That's not a thing in the Catholic Church. No. And it points out that the book didn't mention any police investigation or that Pazder tried to validate any of the sexual abuse or involve the police at all.
Right.
Which he probably should have, because, I mean, some of this stuff was pretty serious.
Yeah.
And the fact that he just like, oh, I'm going to take this and write a book
and write a book.
Write a book and make money off of it. And
so did they like stay married?
As far as I could tell, there wasn't anything about them being divorced.
There
wasn't anything I read.
It turned out that it wasn't real at all, and they wow. I
mean, because it's talked about them how they both turned into consultants, and they consulted on several. Like, they became like the go-to for any kind of Satanist anything with law enforcement.
Wow.
Wow. Other later articles pointed out that Michelle had never been missing from school for any like length of time, as far as like 14 months.
Right.
and one of the rituals that was mentioned in the book was this 81-day non-stop ritual that happened in this graveyard. Like they were there for 81 days.
And no one noticed? Sure.
Well, that was part of it. It was this graveyard that was surrounded like on three sides by like neighborhoods with houses.
Like, people would have noticed.
Well, and that's what they were saying, is that she talks about how there were hundreds of people involved in this ritual and how there couldn't have been just hundreds of people in this graveyard.
Yeah.
For almost 3 months.
Yeah.
And lots of screaming and yelling and, that kind of thing. So there's no way that could have gone on unnoticed in this particular graveyard that she mentioned in the book. And again, that none of the sexual abuse was reported, and that many of the events that she described resembled elements of pop culture. Like in Exorcist.
Oh, right.
Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not stuff that she saw as a child, but stuff that, stuff as an adult, had like made its way through. And even some of the stuff in the book sounded like some of the things like maybe Pazder had like fed her info, because some of the stuff sounded similar to like some of his travels when he was in Africa in like the 1960s and saw some of the rituals of the natives there. Yeah, I mean, it was like, so he could have like led her to, you lead the witness or something like that. You lead them to say something. But unfortunately, many of these articles that came out flew under the radar. Were not, they didn't kick up as much dirt as the book did. And obviously the book gained momentum and the damage was done by that point. And we all see what happened and how it went from there. But then in 1992, this FBI agent named Ken Lanning, and I know things happened after 1992 that still were kind of in that realm, but he was one of the first ones to come out, like law enforcement wise, to say, and he issued this exhaustive report on satanic rituals, basically saying there were none. That there was no evidence whatsoever, and that most of the sexual abuse on children is committed by someone that the child knows and that they see every day, and it's usually a family member. And that most of these stories stem from urban legends, an imagination, and overzealous interveners.
Right.
So you get somebody in there who wants it to be something it's not, and they start planting these things, suggesting these things to the child, get the child, and then it all just goes from there. And so he was one of the first that came out and was just like, this is not a thing. We need to stop this.
This is not real. We're wasting our police resources on this bullshit.
Right. And he went to like I don't even know if it was like I don't know if it was an interview or like words are hard. Words are hard. Or they go and they sit and they listen to somebody talk.
A lecture?
Something like that. I don't know if it was like technically a lecture, but he was like taking notes, and he said that he noticed that with anybody asked a question, she never answered.
Oh, I see. Oh, he went to one of their things, their speaking events or whatever.
Yeah. And that, so he made a comment, or he asked a question, how come she never answered? And it was basically one of those things. It was like, well, they're recovered memories and she's since forgotten some of them. It was just like, and so he was basically like the keeper of her memories, or it was very vague.
Very weird. Okay.
Yeah. And he said at that point, he felt like the validity of everything was just kind of like, meh.
Yeah. It's like
we're not,
you're full of it.
Yeah. And he said that also that like within that, it did come out, and he said it wasn't like he tried to hide it or skirt around it, but it did come out that they were married. And he said that also like skewed
red flag.
That was that was like no, we're not doing this. And so I think that was in that moment, he was like, yeah, this is not, because I mean, this had been like the kind of first, like I said, jumping off point for something like this. But that was when he became extremely skeptical of all this. And so he remained a skeptic anytime FBI got called in for anything like this, any kind of satanic whatever. He was always a huge skeptic and was like, this is not, and it was like a lot of the times it was like either the charges got dropped, or if they did go to jail later, it came out that it was all a lie, and that people were, that people made shit up, and so then they get out of jail, but they've wasted how many years in jail? It's just kind of like that kind of thing. So
I wonder, like, and maybe this is in your notes or not, but like, surely somebody at some point sued the shit out of them for causing this.
I never saw anything like that.
Like, I mean, if I had gone to jail and like they had been part, especially if they had been like consultants or whatever, I'd have been like, I'm suing them for the lies that they told. I mean,
I guess because they can't completely refute the book.
Except that they kind of can, like
but you know what I mean. Yeah. It's just that a lot of people are like, oh, there's this, and this, and then it turns, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it.
It's just like, it's a lot of skepticism. It is gross. It is very gross. But I mean, ultimately now I can say with, it's fictitious.
Yes, it's not real.
And I vaguely remember, I don't know if it was in the church library. It may have been in the church library. It may have been something similar to that Satan's Underground. Because I want to say I vaguely remember reading something. I don't know if I read the whole book or I was just kind of flipping through reading parts of it where it was like this teenager was like, I think it was supposed to have been a true story, but it was like kidnapped by Satanists or something like that. And I was just like, I can't remember, but it was just, I have this memory of like reading these passages and being like, this is weird, like her trying to escape and blah blah blah. Y'all, we had a really good church library. I just want you to know that. That was we had lots and lots of books in our church library.
I think the concept of a church library is not a big thing. Like anytime I've mentioned that, people are like, your church had a library? Like yours didn't?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I mostly stuck to the fiction. I was never in any of the other places. I mostly stuck to the fiction.
Same.
But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that is the story of Michelle Remembers and how one book basically caused all of Satanic Panic.
That is batshit. Like, I knew it existed. I knew it wasn't real, but like, and I knew hypnosis maybe was part of it because it seems to be part of all of those kinds of stories. But like, they got fucking married. They divorced their people and they got married. Like,
yeah, and it was something that they said her husband was very shocked when she like served him with the divorce papers.
It's like, I'm gonna marry my therapist. Ew.
Yeah, and that Pazder's wife was the one who actually filed for divorce because I think she was just fed up with the.
Well, I mean, yeah,
with all of this stuff.
Fair.
She was the one who filed, so it wasn't like that. That was probably more amicable than Michelle Smith's divorce. But as far as I know, she kept her last name. Everything they ever referred to her by was Michelle Smith. So I think they might have done that to keep people from knowing that they were married, like right off the bat. So
that's gross. That's gross. I hate that on all the levels of like, they caused all this shit to happen. But two, that like, he so violated her ability to heal from whatever was going on.
Yeah. That's what I couldn't wait to tell you that because I know how you feel about such things. I'm like, April's going to lose her mind.
Because I'm like, the fact that either develops feelings for each other, super normal in therapy if you handle it correctly, but like, she should have been passed on to someone else when it became problematic. Right. And then they might have been able to, be like, well, this probably didn't happen. So
yeah. They said that there were photos of like him treating her where she's just sitting there like in her bra. And I'm like, that's completely.
No, that's not okay.
I know. That's like, I don't understand why
would you do that?
she would take her shirt off at any
No.
point.
No.
Like, he's not like a physical doctor. He doesn't need to
No.
examine her.
Not at all. Never. You. Ugh,
Yeah.
that's horrifying. Ugh, gross.
Anyway, so that's how a book caused a panic.
Wow.
For over a decade.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you, Claire.
And it wasn't just kind of like, even though the book kind of faded, the whole panic stayed.
Well, yeah, I was like, it stayed. And it still exists to some degree. I mean,
well,
like,
and that was one of the things that one of the articles talked about, was how it has now manifested itself again with QAnon.
yes, and the whole
it's
lizard people eating the babies and Satan and all that. Yes, like,
yeah,
it's
and
still
now
there.
it's like, yeah, it's the same thing, but now it's the QAnon people are saying that it's the Democrats
yes.
that are doing it, and that the Democrats are the ones worshiping Satan and eating babies. And it's just like, are you kidding me right now?
It's like, we're more likely to be vegan, but okay.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's kind of happening again, but I'm glad it's not as big of a resurgence as it was. Or it could have been, you know. I think people now know a little bit better. They're just like, oh, this old bag. If we know better, it's like, oh, this, we've been here before. This is nothing new. So
I hope so.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's my story.
Thank you, Claire. That was great.
You're welcome. So, what story have you brought us?
For Satanic Panic. So I decided that I would again try and grasp onto the Satanic Panic that happens today. And I discovered some interesting things about possession, demonic possession.
What?
I mean, we're all fans. We all loved The Exorcist. Let's be real. I mean, you know, those movies. I was
not a fan of the book.
Well, you know, there are a lot of times when, especially like the scary stuff, like older scary movies are far scarier than the original book was, for whatever reason. So
I think for me, it was just, he's just too wordy.
Yeah.
William Blatty, you're too wordy.
You tell him. You tell him, Claire.
Well, it was just, I just got tired of reading about young priests' existential crisis. I'm like, oh my God, get to it. It was like, good Lord, like, where is the action, my dude? Like, come on. And then the climax happens off screen. You're like, what?
I wonder if he felt like he couldn't write that. Because I remember
himself out a window.
I remember doing the story about it, and like, he wrote about sort of an urban legend true story concept, but
yeah,
it was a whole big thing. Anyway, so for my story, I got my information from Psychology Today, the Mercury News, the New York Post, and the Associated Press.
Okay.
So, as we all know, for centuries, basically everything that was not normal or deemed bad was blamed on the devil.
Facts.
So, you know, things from what are now treatable health conditions, mental health issues, to women having the audacity to know how to use herbal remedies and having intelligence. God damn, how could we possibly? To even like King Henry VIII's second wife, like ultimately she was executed for witchcraft. Like there's a whole thing that there's like witchcraft involved, and the reason that she couldn't bear him a son was because of the demonic influence, blah, 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 blah. But so like now, I mean, it's 2024 and we've had years of science and research to better understand the world around us.
Right.
And to explain a lot of the things that we didn't understand before. And yet, nearly half of the population still believes in possession.
Well, that's even like that one story that you talked about where it was, I mean, it was like in 2014 or something, and they killed their son, basically. They dehydrated him and starved him and whatever else. And I was like, today,
like in today times.
Yeah, like what?
Yeah.
When really it was probably just a mental illness. Yeah. Like, come on. So, I think that's what drives me crazy.
That is 100% what drives me crazy. But so half of the population still believes in possession, and disturbingly, there are more purported cases of possession now than before. Like, it seems to be trending up.
What? So I'd be more likely to like report an object being possessed than a person.
Same.
I'm pretty sure that my car in high school was possessed by Satan. But other than that, like, I'm not gonna, that's weird.
So according to the Pew Research, so like legitimate real research group Pew.
Yeah.
At least 40% of people in the United States believe in demonic possession. 40%. That's a big chunk of people.
That is.
Now, some of that is skewed because of the constant diversity and influx of diversity within the United States, the growth of Hispanic culture within the United States, because 57% of Hispanics believe in possession, which you're like, okay, I get it. You know, there's a lot of religiosity connected to that. Yeah. But it's actually more than 60% of evangelicals believe in possession. So that is really what the driving force is. So since the 1980s, you know, the rise of Satanic Panic and all that, the spread of Pentecostal churches and like that style of religion was on the rise, has been on the rise. And they really highlight the conflict between demons and the Holy Spirit. Like, they're all about being possessed of the Spirit, which means you can be possessed by the demons or whatever.
Right.
And so,
well, that's like anytime I see anything on Facebook about any evangelical or somebody talking about something they think is bad, it's always to the effect of, you know, Satan is coming for your kids. You know,
oh my God,
he's gonna get a hold of you. He's gonna get a hold of your soul. You know, it's like it is almost to that effect of, and he's gonna come and grab you and possess you. I mean, if they don't specifically mention possession, it's implied. It is implied, heavily implied.
I have a friend who almost every day, friend is a loose term. Someone I was friends with 20 years ago or whatever.
Right.
Almost every day post something on Facebook asking for prayer because like something bad is happening and Satan's really attacking their family right now. And I'm like, why? Why is Satan attacking you? Like, specifically, why? Like, he can't be getting a whole lot out of it. I mean, you're just a random family in a random town in Kentucky. It's fine. But whatever. But so, again, because of the growth and spread of the Pentecostal culture of religion, it has really spread the concept of possession and that religion in Latin America, Africa, and parts of Asia. And it's really bizarre because when you think about it, it's 2024. Generally, religious belief is in decline. Like, people are trending away from organized religion, from belief in things. You know, it's a lot easier to not be part of that stuff if you want. It's more acceptable to not go to church anymore.
Thank God.
But even with that, there is still this persistence of certain kinds of beliefs. Like, the second coming of Christ is still pretty popular, you know.
Right, yeah.
But then other things like the idea of mass surveillance by the government tracking our every move, or alien abductions and UFOs. Like, there is, we today, even though we've maybe moved away from religious beliefs still hold on to these gray area ideas. And the line between acceptable and nutso is not always distinctive. So, like, it's one thing to believe in the second coming of Jesus.
Right.
And it's another to believe that it's happening next week.
Yes.
And to doomsday prep for it or whatever you're doing.
Or that you're going to believe some guy who's like, oh, it's happening on this date at this time. And you're like, what? No. Or like you believe it's going to coincide with the lunar eclipse or the solar eclipse or whatever. You know, you're like, no, what?
Well, and then also, like, it's one thing to think aliens and UFOs exist, maybe have interacted with our planet at some point, versus believing you have been abducted, repeatedly abducted, are in communication. Like, I mean, it's that area in the middle where you kind of falls like, well, I believe maybe this person's story about being abducted. Like, it sounds really reasonable. So, like, it's easier to skew into those areas, and that's kind of where possession falls. So, like, intellectually, most people who believe in the concept of demons or whatever, the Holy Spirit, are more likely to think it's possible to be possessed. Maybe not probable, but it's easier to get them into the land of, well, maybe it's happening. Maybe this person is possessed. Nothing else is explaining it, you know? So, like, it's this weird little area of 2024. Again, reminder that is where we are now. There are people who are still like, I mean, yeah, they could be possessed by Satan. Like, but could they? You sure?
Right.
And
you're like, how about you try a doctor first?
Thank you.
Just saying.
And interestingly, requests to have an exorcism performed has been on the rise, not only for Catholics, which is where we normally see exorcism rites, is kind of specifically Catholicism, but also non-Catholics. And so,
what? Really?
Yes. And so,
ew.
As you know, there have been several cases in recent time. The one that I did about the guy in England, which was actually recent, like it was in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Where like he had a mental health crisis, and his family of all adults and intelligent people that were successful tied him to a bed and he died.
Right. Like, I feel like that's unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing happened to them.
No. But then in 2021, which is only 3 years ago, a 3-year-old girl died due to an exorcism here in the United States.
What?
Mm-hmm. Her name was, I'm going to not say her name correctly. It's spelled Arely. And I don't know if it's Arely. I want to say it's Arely because it sounds pretty. Okay. But her name was Arely Proctor. And she was essentially murdered by her mom, uncle, and grandfather, who spent hours trying to purge the demon out of the girl in September of 2021.
She's 3.
She's 3. And like, it was
like, what
horrific.
happened to make them think that oh my gosh.
And so we're going to talk about the horrors first, and then we'll go to the whys.
Okay.
But like, she had bruising and markings all on her neck, had burst blood vessels, her brain had swollen, like it was,
oh my god,
she essentially died from asphyxiation. That is hard.
Yeah.
And she had a lot of injuries in her mouth and had like bitten her tongue, and they were like, what is the fuck happening? And ultimately determined that she had been subjected to 12 hours of abuse, basically, from being strangled multiple times. They were holding her down, trying to make her vomit. Like, they would shove fingers into her mouth, trying to make her vomit. This is a 3-year-old child.
Oh my God.
With 3 adults. One of them holding her by the face, one was holding her around the torso, and one was holding her legs. Like, she couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
They gave her no food or water for like 24 hours leading up to it. And they did it inside their Pentecostal church. And once she died, they left her tiny little body on the altar.
What?
Yes. So I want to give you the horrors of it, because when I tell you why, you're going to be like, the fuck what? Because like it was really bad, like horrific what she went through. But they said the mom claimed that the night before, Aprile woke up screaming and crying, and she, quote unquote, looked different. Her eyes were different. They looked empty. It wasn't her.
That's it.
Yep. Yep.
I don't even know what to say to that.
That's right. Because it's like, I'm sorry, what the fuck? She's 3. Screaming and crying is normal.
Like, she probably had a bad dream, or she's not feeling good, or how do these people become parents?
Well,
oh
so
my God.
You'll love this one. So the mom claimed that for 3 weeks prior to this horrific event, she spoke with God daily. I don't know what the fuck that means, but apparently God told her, because God spoke back, that he was going to take Aprile on September 24th because the mom was never meant to be a mother. And I'm like, obviously she was never meant to be a mother. Look what happened. What the fuck?
Wow.
And so how she convinced her brother and her father to come help murder her child, I'll never know. But like, the uncle was a quote unquote healer.
Oh, shut up.
Stop. And he claimed that during the exorcism, God kept telling him to squeeze tighter.
No.
And he at least, for a hot second after his niece died,
Are we sure Satan wasn't telling them to squeeze tighter? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just saying.
There we go. This is the true possession.
What are we, how do we know? I'm just saying.
I know. Like,
because I don't even have words.
It's so horrific. And again, these are the ones that we know about because the person died.
Right.
Like, how many people go through not real exorcisms that are being performed by their Pentecostal preacher who has 0 training and knowledge, but God speaks to them. So like, okay.
Right.
That, are survive it. So we don't know about it. Like, what the hell? But anyway, so the uncle thought he was a healer, questioned his healer ability after his niece fucking died.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But not for too long, because he eventually returned to church and is now a preacher. And I'm like, oh, good. Great. That's wonderful. Now, to be fair, all 3 of them were arrested. They were all convicted of child abuse.
I was going to say, did nothing happen to these people? Because
It was, I think, California, and they were like, no, absolutely not. You're done. You're done. You're all done. All of you. Done.
Good.
But like, it's not just like idiot, uninformed, unintelligent, horrific assholes who do this shit. They're also, this is so stupid. There are also people who use exorcisms to help cure the ills of the community.
What?
Portland, Oregon, October 17th, 2020. Now, I say 2020, and you're probably thinking, COVID?
Yeah.
Wrong. Not COVID.
No?
Nope, not COVID. You know what else is happening around that time in 2020? All the protests. All the Black Lives Matter. All the, the very important things that needed to happen. Mm-hmm. Portland was a hotbed of whatever. You can interpret that however you want. A lot was happening. So Archbishop Alexander Sample led a procession of more than 200 people to a city park in Portland on October 17th. He offered a prayer, then conducted a Latin exorcism rite intended to purge the community of evil. Following 4 months of racial justice protests in Portland, mostly peaceful, but sometimes fueling violence and riots. So I'm like, okay, so your response to the reality of Black people being murdered by the police is, well, we just need to, protesting is, we need an exorcism to like calm the community down so we can all be happy again. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? This one's better though. You ready? Same day, the exact same day, same year, 600 miles to the south in San Francisco.
Okay.
Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone, what a great name, performed an exorcism ceremony outside of a Catholic church in San Rafael, where protesters had earlier toppled a statue of Father Junipero Serra. And he was, again, trying to, like, what a horrific thing. This community is possessed by Satan. They knocked over the statue of Father Junipero Serra, who was an asshole from the 18th century. He was a Spanish missionary priest who forced the indigenous people, the Native Americans, into Catholicism or be brutally punished. So I'm like, he doesn't deserve a statue.
I was going to say, was he one of those who like came in and like made people do shit?
Yes,
yeah.
He made them convert or else he would, torture them basically. So it's like, oh, he shouldn't have a statue. Everyone was right knocking that statue down. Get rid of that statue. Like, what the fuck? It's exhausting. It's exhausting. But it's also a worldwide issue. It's not just here in these fun United States of insanity. In 2015, in Mexico, some high-ranking Catholic clergy performed an exorcism for Mexico to try and expel the demons nationwide.
Oh, wow.
In response to high levels of violence, the crimes of drug cartels, and of course, the practice of abortion.
Oh, Lord.
It's insane. A particular hotspot for exorcisms is Brazil.
Ooh.
Pastors like to wave their hands over a person deemed to be possessed and shout orders for the devil to depart. You've seen it. You've seen the evangelicals do this.
Oh,
whatever.
Yes. They like smack you on the head. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it seems to be like, it happens here. Obviously, I've seen those videos.
I feel like that's like a drive-through exorcism.
Yes. But so like, this is where it's like there is that group of like, there's Catholic exorcism and then there's evangelical exorcism.
Right.
And like evangelical exorcism happens all the time. Like it's part of the Sunday morning service. We got to get those demons out, whatever. But the Catholic Church has a lot of strenuous like things that you're supposed to do.
Right.
And Pope Francis, current Popey Pope, he still says that exorcism is legitimate. And in fact, there is a Vatican-approved university in Rome that trains priests how to perform exorcism. It's not like, 2 people. It's a lot of people. In the United States alone, there is it's called Pope Leo III Institute. It's in Chicago. And it is an independent, privately funded Catholic institute where they train and educate priests on exorcism.
Oh, wow.
So just here in the United States, I'm like, Lord. And Pope Francis he loves it. He loves all the Satan-y stuff.
Oh, great.
He's never shy talking about the devil and said he has warned many times against the naivety in the fight against Satan, even in the 21st century, because he's still there trying to take us all down. So I tried really hard to find like numbers of exorcisms performed.
Right.
At least from the Catholic Church, because they keep track. They just don't share it. But one source that said that there is about 70 to 100 official exorcisms every year in the United States. You know, like, this seems like a lot.
Really?
That the Catholic Church is like gone through the process, because they do actually have to make sure that it's not medical. Like, they really do have quite the checklist
for like an official. Yeah.
Like, so kudos to that. I approve. We're at least trying to make sure that, like, there's not some very obvious mental health or other types of health issue happening. They have to go to doctors.
Well, and I will say that when I read
I 100% am like, all right, thank you for that.
Yeah, and I will say that when I read The Exorcist, I mean, it was like the last resort at that point, because it was like she had been to all the doctors and they couldn't find anything, and all the medicine. I mean, it had been like exhaustive. It was, you know. So if they do that, and it's, they
have exhausted what they consider reasonable medical stuff. I mean, then whatever.
Then I mean, fair. Do I still agree with it? No. But I get families are desperate. I get that. However,
and again,
this evangelical bullshit where you're just going in and like doing nonsense. And I'm a healer. No, you're fucking
you're not.
Stop it. You know, I was just like, absolutely not. No. But I do have to agree with the cat, you know, because and that was one of the things in that book too, where it was just like they had to get so many people to sign off on it before it became a thing, you know. And I'm like, well, like, that's how it really is.
There's steps, there's a process, it takes time. So like
you just can't go in and get a priest to come in and do an exorcism.
It, but I'm also repulsed by it. It's complicated.
Same. I feel that.
But so 70 to 100, and then
that does seem like a lot.
Seems like a lot. And then Father Lampert is an exorcist. He's gone through the training. He's allowed to exorcise the demons. But in one of the articles I read, he said that he himself had noted a rise in the demand for exorcism in the United States over the last 2 decades, so in the last 20 years. He was first appointed to be an exorcist in 2005 and was one of only 12 priests in the whole country that could do it. But by 2016, which again, long time ago in our today times, it had grown to 50 exorcists in the United States.
Oh, wow.
It is now 2024, and they estimate that the number is between 125 and 150 trained, approved exorcists in the United States alone. And I'm like, holy hell, Batman.
A lot.
That seems like a lot there. So everybody's still panicking. That satanic panic is still there, Claire. I mean, I'm not.
No.
Because apparently it matters what your religion is. I don't really have one anymore. But the one that I was baptized into that says that there's no take-backsies. Is... The way I understood it is once you are saved, the Holy Spirit fills you, and that's it. You're done. You can only be possessed by the Holy Spirit, cannot be possessed by any demons. So just change your religions, man. You'll be fine.
Yeah, because I was like, once saved, always saved.
Yep, no backsies, which I'm like, okay, cool.
April's like, hey.
All right. I'm glad that decision I made at 9 is permanent. Cool. Awesome. My tattoo's not even that permanent, but all right, it's cool. It's cool. But that is my story on Satanic Panic, and the fact that we are still afraid of being possessed, and that fear is growing to the point that we have more exorcists than ever. More exorcisms are being performed, and people are still fucking dying from the idiots who don't know shit. Just, murdering people with their trying to free them from the demon. I don't know. Because her eyes looked different. What the hell does that even mean?
I know. That's weird and wild. That's no.
But
anyway.
There you have it. So, Claire.
Yes, that was a good story.
Thank you. What are you judging this week?
Speaking of evangelicals,
let's judge them. I love it.
I am, because I am tired of them comparing Trump to Jesus.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. If Jesus
on
was
the face space
anything like Trump, then like, please, backsies, take it back. I rescind my baptism. If he was anything like Trump,
I know.
No, pass, hard pass, out.
If I see another stupid thing post about Jesus was convicted at his trial to blah blah blah, I'm just gonna like pull my hair out.
I have not seen that. I've mostly wiped those people from my world, I guess, but that is disgusting.
Well, what's crazy is
Jesus was convicted of
sharing
one
that
count.
shit. Yeah. There are people sharing that shit that I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, I am appalled. I am surprised. I'm just like, I didn't know you were a Trumper. Noted. Like that, there are people that have started sharing it, and I'm just like, be careful around you now. Noted.
It's like, oh, you're insane. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me know.
Meanwhile, there are other people out there who are posting TikToks of like crazy drivers, and it's like, on my way to vote for a felon.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, really? We're bragging about this now? Oh my gosh. I'm just like, I can't. I'm just like,
that won't be allowed to visit a lot of countries, that can't get security clearance. Yeah, that's great. Awesome.
Can't even vote for him fucking self.
I think my favorite thing so far, though, is that a lot of people I have seen are like, look, if he gets to be fucking president after being a felon, then we have to get rid of this whole, you can't be a felon and have these jobs. Because, like, obviously, if the most esteemed office in the country can be held by a felon, then fuck you. They can do whatever.
That's how, yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm like, yeah, fair. I support that.
I know, because I was under the impression, I was like, wait, what happened to, I thought you could not be president if you were a felon.
You know, it's a state thing. In the state of Washington, it's cannot.
It's a state thing.
You cannot, like, he will not appear on the ballot in the state of Washington because he is a convicted felon. And felons are not allowed to run for public office in the state of Washington.
So, you're talking about in November.
In November. His name will not be there because they won't put it on. He's a convicted felon. No, it doesn't matter. It's Washington that's going to vote blue, but like still.
Right. But if it's the state.
So like different states, different rules on whether or not you can appear on a ballot.
Interesting.
Because as for being president, it's not specified. It's complicated. Because again, he is a felon in a state. He also cannot pardon himself for these crimes because they're state crimes and not federal crimes.
Yes.
It's a very complicated clusterfuck of stuff. But
that is true because it was in New York.
Because, you know, the Republicans...
It's a New York thing. Okay,
the Republicans are like, states' rights. I'm like, biting you in the ass now, isn't it? Ha!
Okay, I see what you're saying. Because it's a state... Oh, he's a felon in a state crime.
Which...
Because if he was a felon in a federal crime, would that be... different?
It might be, but I feel like the thing that I read was like the rules for being president are pretty non-specific.
Lame. You think we would be? Oh my God.
You have to be over a certain age. You have to have lived in the country for the last 12 years or been a permanent resident or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think there are certain things that you can't have done, like treason, but I mean, he did that, but whatever.
I know, right?
So, but it's on a federal level or something. I don't know, which he would never get convicted of because
I want to know what states he's not allowed to be on the ballot.
I know, right? I'm like, but
interesting.
Yes, good judge. I'm exhausted.
Yeah. No, it is. It's just like I get so tired. But then my favorite one was when Kristen sent me the thing where it was like him with Jesus behind him, but then Jesus's face was fucking Charles Manson. And I'm like, oh my God, I want somebody to share that on Facebook so bad because I will die. And
so you can be like, did you know that's Manson?
Yeah, I'd be like, wait, you're saying that Jesus and Charles Manson are the same? Like, that is Charles Manson's face.
That's when you should be like, oh my God, you're so right. He absolutely is so much like Charles Manson.
Yeah. He's a sociopath. Yeah.
God, just like him. Just getting people to do horrible things on his behalf. Like,
Right.
gross. Making up shit to incite people.
And then I get tired of them, like, talking about comparing him to Bill Clinton. And they're like, well, Bill Clinton paid what's-her-face money. And I'm like, whoa. That was different, too. Because I'm like, he paid her in an out-of-court settlement.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that was. That wasn't hush money. That was an out-of-court settlement that was, like, legally sanctioned. That was not during an election. That was after he was already president with Paula Jones. That was her name. Yeah. I'm like, no, I can't compare the two.
Like someone
just,
went
like,
through
over
legal, legal court proceedings and sued for damages and got damages, and this person was paid off to not tell anybody that she had never done this, or whatever. Okay, not the same. Yeah.
But I was just like, I commented on it. I was like, both of the men in these scenarios are gross.
Yeah.
Because I mean, yeah. Still not a good guy.
No.
Not at all. Gross.
Not the shittiest president of all time, but a shitty human being. You're correct.
Right. Yeah. Not trying to, like, excuse what he did. No. Like, both of these people are gross. However, you cannot compare the situations. Like, stop. You all think you know, but you don't know. Just fucking stop it. That just, like, drives me crazy. And I'm just like, Facebook is a cesspool. I hate it.
Nice.
That's my judge, anyway.
Very good. I like it.
What's your judge?
So this week I'm going to judge a thing I found on TikTok, which means that it may not be accurate. Just letting you know, because, like, I didn't look.
Something on the internet not be accurate? What?
But it feels like a thing that is probably accurate because, so... And just that's just my caveat in case this isn't true. But apparently in Oklahoma, which is why this feels like a thing that could be true, it's Oklahoma.
Right.
The governor signed House Bill 1425, which allows students to leave 3 class periods a week for religious instruction.
Whoa.
So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, hate that. But then the Satanic Temple, so that we can
I was gonna say,
bring it on back to our Satanic Panic, was pretty excited. They were like, you know what? This could make Oklahoma the first state to offer school credit for the Satanic Temple's religious education classes.
Yes!
And I'm here to say how much I love the Satanic Temple, because they are an amazing voice to the insane push from the evangelicals of putting religion everywhere. They're like, you know what? Fine. But that means every religion, even not this fake Satan one that they don't worship Satan, guys. It's just to fuck up people's brains. Like, essentially, it's an atheistic perspective, but it's like, if you get to do it, then so do we, and we get to put our Satan name on it because we're petty and we're fucking pissed and tired about it. So I'm like, I'm here for this. And in fact, in one state, I don't remember, or maybe in all states, one of the things that the Satanic Temple was working on is classifying abortion as a religious practice.
Ooh.
So that way they'd be like, it's a religious practice. You can't say no. Sorry. Like,
nice.
I'm like, all right. So keep an eye on them. You may panic over Satan, but I'm over here supporting this temple, being like, thank you for just being a voice of reason, of do whatever you want in your home. Instruct your kids however you want them to be instructed, with the values you want to instill in them, the beliefs you want them to have. You get to choose that as a parent. You get that. You don't get to choose that for everyone else's kids.
Right.
It's literally all it is. So, that's my judge.
Yes.
And on that note,
that's a great judge.
Must be time for Tarot Time with April. Spooky. I just now realized I don't have my... Oh, there it is. There we go. Now it's on. All right, Claire. What shall we ask the cards this week?
Should we ask them something about possession? Or Satanic Panic?
Something Satanisty. Dear Universe, which in and of itself is satanic, according to evangelicals, me doing this. This is Satanic Panic.
It is.
Let's see.
It is Satan inspired.
Universe. Oh, universe. Well, wherefore art thou, universe? I need to make sure I have these facing the right way. Okay. Is America's Satanic Panic over? Or are we going to continue to panic our Satan?
That's right.
Tell me when to stop, Claire.
Okay.
I don't know any Satan songs. I'm sorry.
I don't either.
I feel like Sabrina sang something on her show when she was, I don't know, pledging her soul to Satan or whatever they did in that show. You know what I'm about?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
She probably did. Stop.
All right.
You're talking about the newer show, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
When she had her whole, whatever that was.
I just remember when she came down and they were doing Masquerade.
Yes. Oh, God. All right, so we have the Ace of Wands. We have the Fool.
Ooh.
And we have the Page of Cups. The Page of Cups.
We got all kinds of Arcana cards here.
That what?
All kinds of Arcana cards here. Aren't we?
Oh yeah, you're right. I've got one from the pips and one from the major and then one from the whatever we call the court cards. Court cards.
Yeah.
Is what I'm looking for. Let's see. The Ace of Wands. Let's see. And magic wands are used to help you focus your power and take action. You've got to work to get there. The wand is given to you, which could be interpreted as the universe handing you some good luck or good karma. But what you do with it is up to you. I'm here for that. My book is starting to fall apart. I've used it a lot. Cool. I still don't know it that well, though. The Fool. Let's see. Let's see. The Fool is in a precarious position. Think of all the idioms we have for taking chances. Going out on a limb, break a leg, going for broke. These all sound really painful, but what they're about is deciding that being still is not for you. When you see this in a reading, you'll know it's time to jump. Okay. Not sure what this is telling us. I guess the Page of Cups will wrap it up for us. Maybe.
I'm going to say that no. We're still going to be.
Because we're all still fools and jumping in like, dude. Right. It's like we could let it all go, but are we?
But we're not.
All right. This page is a bit of a dandy in most basic decks, with big floofy hair and scarves. Lol. It just makes me laugh. He's the card of art and inspiration, of love, lust, and passion.
Well, as long as that's around, then Satanic Panic will always be around.
True. Love, lust, and passion. It's all of Satan. How dare we?
I know.
All right. What will be our topic for next week? Claire wants it to be butterflies.
What? Butterflies?
I'm just making
Please tell me
shit.
That's not on the wheel.
Oh, did I tell you I added butterflies and unicorns? History.
Oh, just history.
history. I enjoy that because you can be.
That's anything.
It's a nice palate cleanser of random anything. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's anything.
Well, great. Join us next week as we share some weird stories from history that may or may not be satanic. Probably not. But you never know. There's a lot of things we blame Satan for in history, too.
That's true.
But until then, you can find us in all the things and at all the places at
Brunch and Judge.
And please send us any suggestions you have for our wheel or any stories you'd like for us to cover to us at
brunchandjudge@gmail.com.
So until next time, keep on brunching.
And keep on judging.
Bye.
Bye.
Power of Christ compels you.